What's going on? You are listening and watching Talk About Gay Sex. That's right, we are recording a little bit of it today. I'm your host, Steve Rodriguez, here in New York City in my apartment with my co-host, Jeremy Ross Lopez. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good, good. It's kind of different to be recorded, right? You were a little nervous.
Better now.
Better now? Well, you look great, as you always look great. So I kind of wanted to get into it with you. I was just recently in Puerto Rico, San Juan to be specific, and I was with two of my buddies, and we went to a place called SX. It used to be the former Eagle Bar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was cool. It's dark. It's a stripper bar. It's really hot. We
all love those.
Yes, and they have this one bartender there that's been there since day one, and he has a huge Superman tattoo on him, and literally he goes by Superman. He'll hook you up with whatever you need, extracurricular. It's a stripper bar, so they get naked there, and he's got like the hugest schlong ever. But I was with two of my friends, and they're literally, at one point, he pulled it out, and they were like, "Oh my God!" And so, one of my friends, who's like my brother, because we get along really well, but sometimes we argue and stuff like that. But it's all good. I went down on the bartender, and then
he's over here.
He's like, "Oh my God! Oh my God!" And then all of a sudden, I said, "All right." I won't say his name, but anyway, I said, "You need to go down on him," and he was like, "Well, I'm not gonna refuse that." So I pushed his head down, and then I got my other friend to go down on it. It was like a dick fest, and it was
pass around this bartender.
It was this place, in San Juan, honey. They're like whatever.
No holds barred.
Yeah, and I think he might be straight or somewhere in between, but it was a really fun time, I have to say. I love my...
It sounds very juicy.
It was juicy. It was very juicy. Yes.
I missed out on some juice.
Exactly. But I also wanted to talk to you about something that was interesting recently, that I call it a good practice. So I have these two friends, or some friends of mine had gotten together, kind of a four-way, actually. And I've heard this story come up before where, fun happens with a group of guys over the weekend, and then somebody reaches out to another person and says they got an STD, and then reaches out to, in this case, it was me, and told me, well, I didn't fool around with this guy, although I was in the company, but two of my other friends fooled around with this one guy, and so the other guy reached out to me and said, "Hey, listen, I got, I think it was syphilis." And I was like, "Oh, I already heard that." And it's like Monday morning, too. It's like, not when I want to be hearing on Monday morning. But I think, I don't know if you'll agree with me, but I think it was a good practice because he said, "Hey, I know you had two friends, and they're a couple that were at this kind of get-together." And his whole point was, who knows, I kissed them, fooled around with them. Who knows if I gave it to them, but I just got this diagnosis, and would you mind giving me their phone number?
I think that's really respectful, but it's definitely not something I've heard is very common that people would do or have the balls to do.
But it is good practice, don't you think?
It is very, yeah. And I think another thing that people don't understand is you don't have to have full intercourse to catch things from other people.
And as you've said before on the show, it's like things like this won't necessarily show up in,
and not everybody has the same side effects. So sometimes you can have something or carry something and have no symptoms and not show.
Right.
But the fact that he let them know is good for their own health and also for anybody else that they're with afterwards, just because he could have no idea and you could not feel anything and still have it.
And I had a good follow-up to it too, because that couple that he wanted to contact I ended up seeing them at a bar a week later, and they said, "Oh, so we got a Facebook message from that guy that was at your bar." I said, "Oh yeah, I'm so sorry, I probably should have told you." They're like, no, that was cool. I mean, everything's cool. And they were happy that at least he reached out to them. So I do think it's good practice.
It is good practice. It's really better than saying nothing.
Exactly. So, but I thought it would be a good time to introduce our guests. We have two guests today. I'm actually just going to pull the camera out. Cue you. Two guests that I'm really excited to have today on the show.
Oh, wait, so I was in the camera? Oh my God.
There you guys are. Exactly. So I'm really excited for my first guest sitting opposite me. His name is, Stephen Charles Lincoln, but you changed your name. I know we share the same name, Stephen, but what are you going by now?
Lincoln.
I
like the last name. In my nightlife, I'm Lincoln. In my day life, I'm Stephen. I actually like all three names, but it's not the 1900s. So
okay.
I wish we all called ourselves by all three names, but it's not going to happen.
Exactly. I'm really excited you're on the show. I was a fan of you before I even knew you because when I first moved to New York City, I used to go to what's now called the Bowtie Theater on 23rd Street.
Sinopolis.
And Sinopolis now, but it used to be called, I don't know what, but anyways, at the movie...
Chelsea Cinemas.
Yeah. At the concession stand, obviously they had Coke, popcorn, and the usuals, but what they had right in front of you next to the registers was protein bakery treats like this. So, and yes, we are in New York City, so if you're hearing...
I love the siren in the back. I think that's so great.
It's very New York. It's very New York.
Yeah.
It's music to our ears.
Exactly.
And the air feels good right
Yeah.
So we had the protein bakery, and what I loved about it was, wow, you can finally have snacks that have whey protein in them, and you conceived this how many years ago?
1999.
Wow.
So we're looking at 18 years ago.
And now you opened up your first brick and mortar?
Yeah, flagship store on 19th Street and 7th Avenue here in New York City. But you can buy them online, proteinbakery.com, and we ship globally. It's nice.
I love it. You've posted a really cool video that Jeremy shared with me earlier today about...
Yeah, Shape Magazine did that on us.
Very cool. We'll list everything on that, but you also are an amazing... I didn't know you went to San Francisco State.
I did.
And speech. I'm from San Francisco.
Yes.
And...
Did you also go to San Francisco
Berkeley.
State?
Berkeley. But yeah, I was communications. You were speech communications?
Speech and communications with a minor in animal liberation and sexual identity.
Wow, you're going to have a lot.
Very cool.
Animal liberation.
I know. It's crazy.
Okay.
I only have a degree in San Francisco.
That's awesome, though.
That's true. Wow. Yeah, but Animal Lib was amazing. So.
Amazeballs. I love it. But you're also an instructor at Crunch Fitness. You teach classes like fat burning Pilates, chisel, yoga fusion.
I do.
All these things, and usually to
Madonna
the
theme.
thing that we share, our love of Madonna.
I only teach to Madonna.
Yeah, only to Madonna.
Only to Madonna. Well, sometimes I throw in a little here and there of popular music or my other divas that I rarely teach to a male vocalist. I do a little Gaga, a little Adina, but it's 98%
Would like someone like, if it was a male, would it be like George Michael?
Yeah, I do George Michael. I've done Prince. I do Depeche Mode. Alison Moyet, who is a woman but sounds like a man.
Yep.
So, but it really is. Today, I just got done teaching fat burning Pilates to bedtime stories and yoga to the original album, Madonna. Really fun.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
My other guest, yes, you can ask him a question. Let me introduce you first.
Yeah, who are you?
Hold on. Calm down, mister. Alejandro Terrazas is my other guest today. I'm very excited you're here. He is the creator of Unleash Fit, and he is also my personal trainer, and you also teach boot camp classes here in the city and so forth. Welcome as well.
Honored to be here.
And he's also straight too, but he's going to have a lot to offer in today's.
It's okay, but I'm adaptable. It's okay. I understand everything. There's limitations to that, but yes, it's a good feeling for me because it's been a lot of learning for the past 12 years now for me. So
yes, and you teach me a lot about everything, which leads us to our topic today, which I'm excited about. Basically, today we're talking about sex, aging, and fitness, and I think everyone can kind of relate to these topics. And the first thing I kind of wanted to get you guys involved in was, aging and testosterone. Like, as Alex, you've shared with me several times about. Testosterone obviously is, the thing that makes us come. It's the thing that gets our sex drive going. It's all those things, but we lose it as we get older, right?
Correct,
And
yes.
you were sharing me a little bit about ways that we can,
Yeah, usually, so a lot of companies will go with supplementation towards testosterone levels, right? There's other ways too that you can actually do that too. There's no.
Go ahead.
Hello. Okay. Hello.
Yes. Go ahead.
So there's no, there's no scientific logic as in like if it's going to help you increase your testosterone levels with it. But usually throughout food, you can kind of increase that. You do lose about 1.6% of testosterone crossing 40 years old. So usually now that's decreasing
Steven.
into the...
Oh,
I know. But I'm not worried about you or myself because we seem to be like fine in that department. But
If you really know how to take care of yourself within your diet and your cholesterol level is kind of low and you know how to take care of yourself physically and within your diet, usually it tends to decrease a little bit less than that. It goes less than that. Usually people that are overweight or people that are not active usually will start decreasing that. And usually there's some factors within hair loss. You have decrease of muscle strength. You don't get turned on in the middle of the night. So usually that happens. Like that morning wood starts to disappear a little bit.
I still wake up. I woke up with morning wood almost every morning. I wake up with morning wood.
But that's good. I mean,
what's happening when that happens? Other than I'm just horny and I must have dreamt about.
You are well rested.
Maintaining your youth too. I mean.
Me training you. I kind of give you into that phase line because you ask a lot of questions. I usually help you out with that.
Right.
But I don't really guide you within diet because I know that you take care of yourself.
Right.
The amount of food that you eat and everything else. Not a lot of people have that. About 99% of my clients won't do what you do sometimes. And that's kind of like the hardest thing when it comes down to a private trainer. You kind of have to let them know. They still think about exercising is going to increase their testosterone to a certain degree. But diet at the end of the day is what's gonna complement sleeping, knowing really the habits. A lot of people that work 9 to 5 or 12, 13 hours a day and they're not active as much, less sleep, your body's depleting everything else. So usually your sex drive is the last thing to go. And when that happens, Houston, we have a problem because that means that your entire body's just going into that shock mode.
But you've told me before there's things you can do. There's like you see your doctor and they can actually do tests to see if you have low testosterone levels. You can supplement like things and those kinds of things, which is good.
That you find in GNC or you take, like I said, it's not really a guarantee that you're going to increase your libido or your testosterone. It's very, very little. And also, I say that because I've taken it before, and I'm pretty young. I'm 31. But when I was younger, I just used to take them just because it will make you bigger, right? That was the purpose of it. But the doctor, when I went to the doctor, because I was having a massive breakout because of that, my doctor would say, "It's like you're so young, you don't need this.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need stuff like this." But after 30 years old, your testosterone will start decreasing. So sometimes when it comes down to 40 and up, 40, 50, and 60, usually the doctor will give you supplementation prescribed where it kind of increases that testosterone level where you're able to not have too much of a loss on hair loss, on muscle loss, strength loss, even sleep loss, depressed. So it's kind of like it's huge.
What about those guys though that we see in our community, gay community, that like we know they've probably taken a shot of testosterone, illegally or whatever, but they're huge, but like it seems like they don't have a big sex drive, right? Because their balls get smaller. You've seen that, right?
Yeah, I have seen that. And someone recently said that to me. He's like, yeah, I know I'm huge, but I don't have a lot of sex drive. My balls are gone and they're not coming back. And he was late 50s. And I was like, I did not ask any of those questions. But thank you for sharing that with me. I appreciate that.
Clearly, it's on their mind.
Exactly. And I wasn't looking for that, but that's okay.
But I think sometimes in our community, we overdo it.
Absolutely. And I think everything you just said and what you said, it's about balance, and it's about finding balance for you in your life at your age with your body and your makeup.
Right.
I lost 82 pounds when I became a fitness instructor 25 years ago. Wow. And I did it through eating different because I could eat mayonnaise with a spoon. I can eat a pound of cheese at 2 a.m. without looking back.
Right.
So I changed some of my eating habits. I also I went to therapy.
Okay.
Because if you eat your feelings and you're big because of that.
Right.
And I think you could be big because you're eating your feelings. You could shoot steroids and lift and get big because you're eating or lifting your feelings.
Anything can become too much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's the same principle of the protein bakery. We say we add balance by adding protein to a baked good. How do you do it in your life?
Right, exactly. And then exactly. And then I've worked with you training just for fun and haven't you noticed like your mood changes and
Definitely.
And what's your experience been like working out? And
I mean, I think
you're too young to worry about losing.
No, but I think it definitely loosens you up and it gets you like ready for the day. It also just clears your mood and your mind and all of that. It relaxes you.
Absolutely. And so, but one of the things that I wanted to talk also about aging and testosterone. I mean, you teach all the time and stuff like that. I know you lost all this weight and stuff like that, but have you noticed your sex drive change dramatically when, you lost all this weight and now you teach classes?
No, I'm pretty consistently just a horny devil who is out there. If I have a boyfriend, if I don't have a boyfriend, if work is really stressful, if it's not stressful, that is kind of my beginning of the day, end of the day, in the middle of the day, check in with myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? I could be sexually active with someone else, or I think it's really healthy to have a sexual relationship with yourself or your own right hand and your own imagination.
Well, that's a perfect thing because I wanted to find the answer to this because I was asking Alex the other day, what is the right time to, come or bust a nut or whatever? Do you lose? Let's just say I'm about to meet you to train, and I'm horny. Should I hold it in? Because is that gonna make me lift more, or am I gonna be weaker?
If it's a quick bust, I mean, fine. Your body's not going to spend that much, energy in it.
Yeah.
It doesn't spend too much. But if you're going to have a more than 20-minute type of
sex session,
I will hold it off for about a few hours, 2 hours at least.
Okay.
It's like having a meal, right? So
because they ask athletes this all the time too. Sex before, the game,
right,
or not, and some of them said,
depends on the person.
Maybe it depends on the person too.
Yeah. A lot of athletes, for example, boxing, they will reject any type of sexual encounter for. It all depends, a week or a month before the fight, and they tend to believe that that's gonna kind of increase that strength and endurance,
right,
when it comes down to the fight. There's no such thing as a belief with it. Lately, I used to box when I was younger, so I kind of had that belief in it. But later on, now how advanced health and fitness is now, they kind of find things are well, it's not true now. You can actually still have sex and still have a fight. So now there's always something coming up, and sometimes you have to know your science. You have to. As an individual, I tell everybody, make your own research. Go to your doctor. Be specific. Doctors will never give you those answers unless you ask.
Or know the science for yourself, I think, too. Right. Because, sometimes if I'm so horny and I know I'm going to meet, go down and train, it relaxes me just to hurry up and just, jack off and come. And then I'm relaxed and okay, now I can really just focus and be in the workout. And I'm not weak. I'm just, because I was so heightened horny-wise.
Well, sometimes it's
no, really.
When you have it all worked up,
when it's that worked up on that level, and I could just, like you said, in a quick minute, bust a nut. Then I know I'm just going to get that out of my system, and then I'm not going to be looking around in the gym at other trainers. I'm just going to be present on my.
Sometimes I do that before I go out at night. I go, I'm not going out to look for someone. If I'm horny beyond belief and going out, then I'm looking for someone to have sex. No, I want to just go out and have have a good time.
Yeah,
so let me get that out of the way.
And you could work it up again.
I can work that up again in a heartbeat. But what I was going to say was, sometimes on a Sunday when I don't have to do anything, I will wake up, jerk off, and pass out again. And then wake up and be like, no, I want to sleep some more. Jerk off again and pass out again. And I can sleep for an hour after doing that. And it really, it's what
It's
progressive.
your lullaby moment.
Well, you know what progressive relaxation is? Have you ever heard of this?
Progressive relaxation.
Yeah,
no.
it's a technique where you strain, like you squeeze your muscle, and then you release, and then you squeeze.
like Kegel?
like all
Isometric exercise, right?
It's an isometric.
Of your whole or your
Yeah.
I'm talking about your whole body,
Okay,
not just
not
your
just-
whole.
okay.
Thank you very much.
Right.
But if you jerk off, you tense up your whole body,
Yeah.
so it melts you back into relaxation.
I mean, you've done those type of workouts when I made you hold a bar for a certain amount of seconds and then release, right?
Right.
So it's the same premise because it's a muscle, right? At the end of the day, it's still a muscle. But I do believe in that. For me, like there's certain type of clients or certain type of people have different type of levels of intensity of how horny they are, or if they're even horny. For me, is like when I do legs.
Yeah.
I gotta bust a nut afterwards because I get extremely horny after doing legs, and
require so much energy.
And I do crazy legs. I love working out my legs since I
Because
was
you
young.
busted it out later.
No. I started discovering this as I was getting older. But,
Yeah, 30.
Yeah, you're 30. Ooh, older.
I mean,
Lincoln,
We're
30,
fine.
yeah.
Everyone's fine.
But the fact of like, and a lot of people's like, well, I don't like that. I don't, a lot of people that I train, they hate working out legs. And then when I tell them, it's like, I don't tell them specifically what happens to me, but I tell them it's like, it's such an intense workout that I give myself that it's just my testosterone level that I get like sky high, and it's just like, I gotta go home like to release something.
Yeah.
And
Why do you have to go home though?
well, trust me. I mean, there's so many things that happen, especially when I used to go over here to the near sports club.
No, but I'm saying all you need is a stall or your bathroom or.
So you're talking city when you just pick up and go for the day.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I need some
if
candles. I need some deep music.
Oh, you need a mood then.
And you know what? And sometimes
I just need a stool.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I gotta like.
So we're a little bit more kinkier than he is.
Yeah, he's like, psh,
Yeah.
done.
I mean, I masturbate like 4 times a day usually, so
Wow.
it's always random. So sometimes it's at work or at home, or it's just whenever I need to, I do.
Yeah. I mean,
How old are you?
I've done that.
26.
Yeah, you're young.
I used to jack off 11 times a day in my 20s.
Oh my god.
11 and up.
My max is
Wow.
the most
And
I've
it's
ever
still
done
working.
is 10, but I was
Yeah.
off that day and I just couldn't get
Especially if it's a day off and there's nothing else to do. It's been like, what do?
11.
You eat, sleep,
Well, here's
jack
why
off,
I think
watch
fitness,
TV.
working out, and like leg day is because if you're doing 11 times a day, or even how many? 6, whatever you said.
No, mine 3 or 4 every day, yeah.
I mean, working out really does replenish all of that stuff.
To a
And-
certain extent, yes. I think you don't want to work out in an empty tank, right?
Right.
I think that's just going to diminish whatever you're trying to achieve on that workout. Sometimes I tell them you got to take a few hours off. And usually when I know, like if I'm going to be sexually active and it's going to be more than a 20-minute workout, like, sex encounter, I'm going to make sure that I have at least 6 hours because I know that it's going to be intense, right? So,
Right.
But by the time I get back and I have something to eat and everything, then I'm ready to go. But if it's a quick one, I don't think you should have a problem,
I bet.
I-
That's funny. But the other reason to go to the gym is that I'm sure we all have sex stories at the gym. I certainly have several. I mean, the sauna in general. I mean, in LA, when I used to live in West Hollywood, Los Angeles, the Crunch Fitness on Sunset Boulevard was like a bathhouse. I mean, it was.
When
like,
was that?
This would have been 1998 to like 2000.
Was Sports Connection there?
No, it had changed over already
It
too.
used to be called Sports Erection.
Right, and then
Sports
people used to go to the
Sports
roof.
Erection.
I think.
They had a security guard in full security guard uniform walk in and out of the steam room because there was so much going on in there.
Whoa.
Yeah, but so the
Damn.
Crunch kind of like took over. I think.
I wonder why it was erection.
And to pull in Madonna to make it
Yes.
really, one of the reasons that her choreographer at the time, I'm not going to name names,
Was teaching?
was he used to work out there, so
Oh,
he'd always come
nice.
in, and he was really hot. So, and he was always in the,
Oh,
in the
really?
steam room there, and I was always trying to like catch him, but I was like nervous and trying to be an actor at the time. But no, definitely people weren't, jerking off, and a lot of things were happening. But I don't know. Do you guys have sex stories in the gym? I'm sure you must have a bunch.
It's funny.
This one doesn't.
You probably do.
Yeah, unfortunately I do. Yeah.
You have probably,
Why is that unfortunate?
Okay, so it was just the most awkward encounters for me as a straight man, but it was.
And you're totally fine with.
I mean,
Fine
I'm
with-
okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it, but there's a certain threshold or a limit when it comes down to. I mean, it's very clear how I act. That people would know. It's like this guy's straight, but they just keep on going. They just keep on going.
But you're working out at like New York Sports Club. No, it isn't obvious. There's a lot of masculine guys that look just like you that are at New York Sports Club that are 100% gay. And so I don't think it is obvious. But you were telling me recently, didn't some guy come up to you and like have a conversation and open up?
Yeah, he opened up his towel and yeah, this shit was pretty big. But I was like, dude, like,
shoot, I wish we were there.
No, he like just like slapped the floor. I was like, what is this? This is not real. So I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I'm not gay. He's like, okay, do you still want to try? I was like, what? No, I'm good. I'm okay. But he turned out to be a very nice guy besides that.
Certain times at different, like Saturdays at my gym here, 24 Hour Fitness, I notice can be, of course they're like hating me now, I'm sure, but can be the gay guys tend to come out at and in the sauna. And I had a recent experience on a Saturday afternoon that was with a very young twink boy, but yeah, no, he was cute though. It was interesting. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you're living in the gym.
Well, yes, I will be honest, because I was group fitness director for David Barton Gym for 17 years. I created all the classes for David. I hired over 300 people to teach it. I'm not going to go with a hard-on into the steam room. My instructors are there. People who give me member feedback are there.
What do they say? Don't shit where you eat.
Don't shit where you eat.
Yeah.
So while I've been in that situation and had people be playing, I just want steam, and I might be turned on by it, but I'm not going to put my. It's not the guy I am.
So what gym do you go to do that?
That would happen for me, to be completely honest, when I traveled.
Okay, yeah.
So if I was, in
Somewhere
San
else,
Francisco, or if I'm in Berlin at a gym there, or if I'm in London at a gym there and something. But also when I travel, it's a whole different scope, because I'm not teaching, I'm not on a work schedule.
And you're not necessarily going to run into friends
I'm not gonna run into
people that work with you.
Doesn't travel bring out the horn dog in all of us?
In all of us.
Yeah, I've noticed seriously, it's like people like might not go out much here in the city, and then all of a sudden they are traveling, and then it's like, oh yeah.
But you also get so much energy when you travel. I feel, at least I do. When I went to Berlin for 20 days, I didn't do any. I hardly drank coffee. I just had so much energy that I was in a different environment, in a different culture, seeing
a very
different
sexual
people.
environment too in Berlin too, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, Jeremy. What's your experience?
I mean, when I'm away, I just get adrenaline off of being and meeting new people and being around like a whole new scene. So when you go out in the gay scene anywhere that you're on vacation, it is fun to just see all new gays, and it doesn't even have to be gays, but just like new people that we don't see all the time.
Right.
But for sex on vacation, I don't do a lot of it, and I also am more of a watcher than a doer.
Voyeur, right.
So when I'm out, I'm not really about like.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah, getting off, but I definitely will watch. But it's more interesting to me to just be around new people.
What about in the gym? Are you like just get out?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. The bathroom whole situation grosses me out. Showers, sauna, all of it.
I think it has something to do with like our age group too, because right behind you is Tom of Finland, and there's certainly like imagery that he's conjured up back in the day of like bathroom sexual sexcapades, and there is something taboo about doing things.
I mean, the idea of it's definitely hot, but I also don't like the idea of when you are in a sauna, you're not necessarily going to regulate who comes in and goes. So there's other people watching that.
But that's part of the excitement.
That is
that you aren't
you can't
into,
regulate
and I don't like that
apps.
idea.
Right.
But Jeremy, you do the apps, and you can't regulate who's like.
You can, but you can also just not say anything and not respond.
True.
So.
I feel like you can do that, though, in the sauna, too.
But what I'll say lately, especially in the gym environment, I find the gym floor very sexy. Watching people that have great bodies, that look good, that watch themselves in the mirror, that see them develop their bodies. And it doesn't, I guess maybe I've gone over the other side of, sure, I could see you naked in a steam room, fine, but there's something about watching men work out, and there's something about going to a gym where that's not happening that I go, I need motivation.
Right.
You know what I mean? I need more than
just
Madonna in my ears. I need motivation.
But in a way, too, though, a lot of people are getting discouraged because of that, too, because of the environment of the gym. The gym environment now, right? You got to look a certain type of look to be, especially, I started realizing that because I travel to a lot of gyms, right? And it's becoming now, and it's affecting big gyms because a lot of people that have no confidence or they don't have the will to go, they don't even look good, right? They stop going to those gyms because they're surrounded by so much, let's say, I gotta look like this in order to kind of like permit myself to be in that gym.
That brings up something, because I was going to talk about it, but social media nowadays with Instagram and all them, people are posting like pictures of themselves in the gym and like, look at my biceps today and look at how much I pushed in legs, and gym pics like are constant all the time. But I look at it, I mean, I'm usually happy for those people that are posting. And then on the other hand, sometimes, to your point, I think it's inspirational too. It's like, right, that's right. I got to like get my body in shape. And so it inspires me when I'm in the gym to want to, so I kind of look at it that way. But you're saying maybe it's...
The reason I say that is because I train a lot of younger crowd now, 16 and under. And their mentality when it comes down to that is not like ours. Like, we see it as a motivation. We see it as something that we can not just look like it. Obviously, your body type is completely different than that person's, right? So you might not be able to develop that type of chest or shoulders or arms, right? Kids nowadays don't understand that. Whether you're gay, straight, you look at pictures like that and you want to be something like that, it takes whatever you want to do to get there.
You're saying it's unrealistic goals?
Not unrealistic goals, I think. It's the pressure for them, right? So they lack that type of confidence of saying like, oh, I might not be able to look like this person anymore. And the reason I see that with young crowds is because they don't want to work out because of that. And they hide themselves through social media, which means it decreases the lack of communication, right? There's no more going to a bar and having a true conversation with someone without meeting them before on Facebook or Instagram.
And you're saying it makes them shut down and stay reserved?
Physically, mentally, and I think it's affecting now the future of our generation, right?
Well, it used to be that back in the day, like for girls in particular, if they looked at like, fashion magazines like Vogue, it was the body type that you would never be able to achieve.
Right.
And there was that whole thing. And now, I think I said this on a different podcast, like I'm glad I didn't grow up in a social media era. Although, in my 40s now, I use it, I appreciate it, but I didn't grow up with it, so I'm not, like, when I go on it, it's usually to promote something, but it's not, I would imagine if you were like your client, 16 or under, and this is what this is how you consume your, media, that this can affect you negatively because you're like, oh my God, this guy has this body and this guy's here, and he's with Kim Kardashian,
and I think there are some things that you can achieve in the gym, but then there are many things, and social media shows you so much, especially to people that are younger and very impressionable. It shows you a lot that you can't achieve being in a gym. Like if you have no ass, you can't get like a basketball ass.
Or yes,
to
you
a certain,
can.
You can, but
Jeremy,
to a certain level
via Photoshop. Yeah, like somebody was showing me.
But that's what he was saying. They hide behind it being a false image of yourself.
False is the right word.
And then they get used to falsifying what isn't real.
My friend the other day was showing me and we were goofing off, and he's younger, and he was saying, "You want to make your bicep bigger in this picture?" And I was like, "Oh, don't make me look crazy." But I'm like, "Well, all right, just make my arm look a little bigger." So he like made it a little bit. I was like, "Wow!" But I mean, so some of these are probably not even real. They're touched up. So even when you are looking at like some of these these kids are looking at it, maybe they're like enhanced.
And as a coach is very, or as a person that you're not related to that person, it's really hard to make them understand that because they're so one-sided into that. And it's really hard to have that type of communication. As also seeing them interact with other people and seeing themselves being very shy because of how they look, or because they're not that cool, because they don't have that many followers. And it becomes a domino effect, right? It affects them within their lifestyle. It affects them within their health, fitness, and everything. And these kids are our future, right? So if they're developing into that, compared to us, that we appreciate everything that has been going on now with technology, fitness, all the developments, all the discoveries that we have in, right, testosterone, this, etc. We kind of tend to have that appreciation. Kids nowadays don't have that, don't have the meaning of appreciation. It's really hard. And at the end, sometimes there's some type of blame.
I think they have an appreciation. I think it's just a very different language that they're speaking. And I think it came out in our election. I think that Trump spoke a very soundbite. When I was watching the debates, I've said this a few times, Trump was speaking in this repetitive fake news, everything's horrible, everything's a train wreck, fear, 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 you're going to die if you don't vote for me. And Hillary was like, listen, I've been here a while, I've made mistakes, I have a pen and a piece of paper, we can communicate, let's try and get through this. And for me, I didn't understand the soundbite fear-based lead. I went, well, that'll never work. Right. That's why it was such a shock for some of us. Right. For some of us.
But I think we did have examples before, because our former First Lady, Michelle Obama's mission was to, instill confidence in the youth about fitness. And it wasn't fitness like what we're talking about, like, this ideal perfect body, but it was like, get active, do something. And she went around the country, not once, but several times. It was her mission to get people active. And when you are active, your confidence is boosted. And when your confidence is boosted,
everything
just
changes.
Like, for any of us, I would argue, it's like just that mental thing. When you work out, there's a whole hormonal thing that happens.
Correct.
All the serotonin that you get just by working out is feel-good hormones, and you feel that leads to confidence. And so, her mission was that, and I would argue that, younger people do have a lot of examples of that.
Yeah.
But they also have, like you said, if you just only looked at the apps and followed some of these people, you might feel a little bit.
Oh, it's insane. I mean, I follow most of them, and sometimes I see them, I'm like, what? Like, especially the exercises, the way they exercise. Another reason why a lot of people get injured, because of like, oh, maybe I can do it.
Hopefully, though, they have good examples in their life. So if you're in, like, my parents put me in sports. I was a gymnast my whole life. Like, from a kid I went to Berkeley on a scholarship, and all the confidence that I got and the accolades and the work hard and then on the other hand, I was a gay teen that was like suffering from, looking at my fellow gymnasts and wanting to molest, or have sex with them. And so there was that whole thing, but I didn't suffer from a lack of confidence. It was just, so I think hopefully, their parents are active in their lives, and they're,
hopefully. And hopefully those programs are still in our schools.
Right.
Yeah, right. That's my main goal too.
Right. Hopefully we don't lose some of those.
We have been losing them.
Yeah. Because I think it's very important with that. Like, I had no confidence coming here because I didn't know the language. Like, I encountered a lot of obstacles with it as an immigrant kid. And not understanding communication with anybody in school, and my father just sending me to a private school, an all-boys school too. Nonetheless, it was a scary 4 years for me, because it was kind of like a toughen my shit up for 4 years, and I lacked a lot of confidence to the point that I needed guidance, therapy, because I got not only bullied, I got got useless fights, treated like the worst way I can say it, even though in school at that age. And I think if it would have been like me 10 years ago coming into this country now, I think it would be a lot worse because of social media and everything else, right? One of the reasons why people are getting it's just crazy. But I developed the skill of how to achieve as much confidence as possible, I discovered myself doing it through fitness and developing myself with that. And kind of I use those programs because I'm teaching kids now, and kind of guide them into that perspective of that. But at the same time, like he was saying, when you having that development of confidence, sometimes my question to you guys is, now this is a question that I always asked, and I think it's better off to ask you guys, because I had a client who was like, he is 45. And when I first met him as a client, I honestly thought that he was straight. There was no sense of him being gay. There was no sense of him approaching me gay, like hitting on me or anything like that. It was a very professional meeting. He asked me questions about like coaching and everything. And he was one of my first clients. And for me, it was the discovery, knowing that he was gay. It was a shock for me, because I was like, dude, you act so straight.
A lot of us do.
But I'm saying, like, the only reason I'm saying that is because now when you're in this era, it's so easy to say, yes, I'm gay, when you're 10, 12, whatever age it is, compared to 30, 40 years ago. You had to hide yourself from that facade of being straight. And did you ever felt in that way? I'm asking you and you, because obviously you guys are older than even...
Yeah.
You know.
Did we ever feel like we had to hide our...
how uncomfortable, as in...
I mean, like I said, being a gymnast for so many years, believe it or not, there weren't that many gay... I always get this, oh, you were a gymnast, you must have been surrounded by so many gay guys. It's like, no, actually, I mean, by the way, we weren't on the balance beam, and we weren't doing music to our floor routines. It was a whole male-driven, I know. And I always have to, like, 101 gymnastics, like, explain. But I was one of the, at least I thought, one of the only gay guys in my circle. And I would always have these like, it was horrible, because I had like these crushes on my teammates or other, guys that I had met, and then I would have to suppress all that. And I have a vivid memory of, there was a guy, we would go to like, different colleges like Stanford or UC Berkeley when we were in high school. And I remember going with like my parents and my friend's parents, and my friend's parents were very conservative parents and so forth. Well, my friend, who was, their son, was saying something about one of, like, where's the Berkeley guy? And he's, he's not on the team anymore. He's one of those fags that got AIDS, and he's,
so messed up.
He's probably going to die. And he was kind of saying this, and I just have this vivid memory of hearing that and hearing the parents going, oh, yeah, right. And although I didn't identify as gay at the time, and I didn't, my parents...
That definitely doesn't push you to be like, oh, yeah, and know what I'm
This
gay.
would have been the 80s, late 80s, and years later, it always resonated with me. I didn't know how to really make sense of it, but years later, I thought, oh my God, I wonder whatever happened to this guy, because it just plagued my mind that somebody was talking about him like, almost like he deserves... I think he did say he deserves what he gets, he's a faggot, and
that's crazy.
He
it was a different time.
It was a different time.
It was a lot of fear-based.
Right. It was
living,
fear-based. But those were my early.
It's a lot of ignorance.
This new TV series on ABC. We are.
Thank you for bringing that up.
It's so
NBC,
good.
It's
on
ABC.
ABC.
We are one, or
When We Rise.
When We Rise.
When We Rise.
Dustin.
And it really does explain how that mentality lived and was created. And it's all fear-based. I mean, gay people would not be as far as we are now without the AIDS crisis.
Right.
There's no doubt in my mind. The amount of compassion and understanding and just health and wellness that had to come, empathy that had to come up in the human race because of such a tragic disease that was handled so poorly by our government and by the people just not knowing, we would not be this far today.
Right.
So when you watch that series and seeing how it did rise up with women, with everything, and then get bashed in the head through the virus and then back to the main, because they start way before the virus.
They do. Yeah, no, it's really,
really
I started watching it. It's really good.
It just started now?
It's really good.
Yeah,
It started
it's
yesterday.
a miniseries. Dustin Lance
I
Black.
thought it was going to be a movie, but it's
a mini-series on ABC. Dustin Lance Black is the creator, director, and it's really good. Encourage you to watch it. But just to bring it full circle, later, when I was old enough in college and finally came out, working out became a cathartic thing, and I became confident, and I was comfortable in the early 90s being gay, and then there was examples like I can't remember, there was a bodybuilder, you would probably know his name, Bob.
The couple.
Oh.
They were on Donahue. Remember they were on Donahue?
You know them, Bob Paris.
Bob Paris.
I can't really remember
Very nice.
his name. Bob Paris.
That's a good memory.
Who we've talked about him before, Alex.
I
met him actually. I met him in the Bay Area.
They were bodybuilders, competitive bodybuilders, and both of them came out as gay, right?
As gay. They did an hour on Donahue about being gay, and the thing I was going to say to answer that is my whole life I've never thought, okay, I need to put on high heels and do a fan kick to sell the universe that I'm gay. That's not the gay guy that I am. I don't like the hyper feminine. I respect
not
trans.
That there's anything wrong with
Not that there's anything wrong with it. And I was just going to say, I respect trans people. I respect everyone in the world that they have their life as they want it. I choose mine to be private. I'm way too big of a personality, artistically, physically, mentally, conversationally, that I don't lead with, again, my dick or my fan kick. It's not about entering the room, I'm gay. No, I'm just here. And I'm me. That's it. Let's start there. And there's many other things I identify with before you get to the gay card.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm a human being, first of all. I'm a spiritual person that has a spiritual balance with a higher power on this planet, let alone who I sleep with. That's really none of your business.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Even when I do it in public.
Yeah. You don't do fan kicks, but you do other Fruit. Yes. Exactly.
My virgin ears.
Right. I mean, I don't know. Being younger, Jeremy.
I was gonna ask the same thing. Like Jeremy,
I came out at 15.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And when you came out, did you
my dad
shout
is a
to
gay
the world?
Sister, brother,
Bless you.
Bless you. You can sneeze on the show.
Thank you very much.
I mean, my dad thought that it was a phase at first, and then just kind of became comfortable with the fact that he knew that it wasn't. I think referring to it as a phase at first was just an easier way for him to digest it.
Right.
And my mom just, not to say loved it, but she just welcomed me like it didn't matter. And like you said, it never defined me. And I think I've been through different stages of becoming more comfortable with myself. So I have been in a phase where I've been really gay and flamboyant and worn different clothes and never let my facial hair grow. And so I think you grow into your own, and that takes a certain amount of time, but it also is moving to a big city, meeting different people, and then also different environments, like working in nightlife, working in a bar that is that setting.
Eagle?
Yeah.
In
the leather shop, yeah. So
leather shop.
After working, when I started at the Eagle, I was completely different as of who I am today. But it also is being in an environment with a different crowd of people, and I'm happier and just come to my own now and am very secure. But when I first moved to the city, I wasn't. But I think that we all have, when we find closer to who we are, and you go through different stages, and
I think you hit the nail on the head when it's about evolution. And I just told my story about, when I was younger and how those horrible stories, not horrible, just they were my reality. And then later being I've talked about it on the show so many times, you're bored probably about hearing it, but being a dancer, a go-go dancer, and the reason I think I probably lumped this topic of aging and fitness together is because fitness has always been a huge part of my entire life with my sex and my aging. And to speak of the Eagle, becoming a Leatherman and stories I've heard, you really don't getting into the leather scene, and you could speak to a lot of it, Lincoln, is probably not something most people, maybe now, but you get into it a little bit later. It's you don't come out in general, because I know there's a lot of stories nowadays of younger kids that they're just, they're exposed to more, and it's great because of the work that was done, I would argue, prior to them. But when we probably came out, it wasn't like, let's go to the leather bar, even though it's a progression, it's an evolution, and the leather community is kinky, and it's comprised of a style, and it's a little darker at times, and it's a whole evolution. So, it's just this whole evolutionary process.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but I'm disagreeing with you.
Okay,
because when I was being raised in, first of all, my biggest statement as a gay man is to hold my partner's hand in public. I find that to be when I was engaged for 5 years, and we held our hand wherever we were.
And that's still a problem
and
for
I
me.
loved that.
I
and
love that, seeing it, but I don't actually do it either.
Yeah, me either.
But I do love it.
He was darker skinned. I'm my white, and us holding hands in public, and just that to me, letting people project anything onto it that they wanted to, that is still my best statement, because it's not in your face. I'm not hurting anyone, but I'm holding someone's hand, and I still love that. As far as the young gay being, I was attracted to the leather community from a very young age more than any other. So in San Francisco, I would go to the Midnight Sun because it was fun to watch TV, but the drag world was
videos.
never exciting to me. I didn't like, I know pop. I used to watch live Golden Girls being aired live at Midnight Sun. Like when you hadn't seen any episode before, it was, the first time they ever aired it.
Do you know what that show is, you guys?
The Golden Girls?
I mean,
just kidding.
I know the reference, but I don't know the details.
Yeah, okay, good.
It's now on Hulu. Every episode. Sign up today. But I found a care for younger guys with older leather men. Not a twisted side, but more of a fatherly, hey, let me show you how to do this. Hey, let me show you
under
how
your
to
wing
do.
and
It was more of a mentor program, and I remember, not a mentor program, but it felt like a mentorship.
And you were in the right city.
I was in the right city at the right time.
Yeah.
And I will say I was late 80s, early 90s in San Francisco. So there was even kind of an awareness of, no, put a condom on that. Don't do that without a condom. Because the virus and STDs in general, back to your opening of the show, and I think everyone should tell anyone any sexual disease that they ever happen to get to anyone that they've touched, made out with at any time with absolutely no shame, because a virus doesn't pick a person and say, oh, you're gay, so I'm going to hook onto you.
Right.
It's simply a virus. It's
and
like
we've
getting a
chatted
cold.
about that before. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like getting a cold.
But
so
when you blacklist it, people don't want to even discuss STDs, but it's real life. We're all sexual, and you're doing something that most people do, and I think it is respectful and it's smart to be able to talk about it.
Right.
And I even notice friends don't always talk about it.
And anyone who gets a text message about, or an email or a Facebook message about any STD, you should take that with gratitude and thankfulness that goes, cool, I get that. Because no one would ever purposely give it to you if they're writing you an email that says, hey, you might have gotten this from me, I'm very sorry.
Right.
Hello.
And even if it was, as you said, fear-based, whatever, it's so easy to go get tested for these things that just go get tested for.
And that's what I love about PrEP right now, is that you have to go get tested every 3 months anyway. So now if I don't know who at the table is on PrEP or not PrEP, but I am negative and on PrEP, and I go to my doctor every 3 months, I get tested for everything.
We're going to do another show on PrEP, and
I'll be back.
Okay, good. And then to answer your question, yes, it is free to get, the Gay Men's Health Crisis does free testing here in New York. There's all kinds of free testing.
I can go get tested too.
Absolutely.
You can also get PrEP for free.
You definitely can get these things too, obviously. Yeah. I'm sure in your...
And I will tell you, when I mention PrEP or bring up PrEP with straight people, they have no idea what the hell I'm talking about.
Oh, I've educated most people that are straight just because they're interested to know also.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and you were sharing offline earlier, you went to a pretty big party that happens here related to the leather community, Brute. It's great.
Super fun.
It used to be at a different location. Now it's at Irving Plaza. It's in different cities like Chicago, San Francisco. But a lot of sexual activity happens. I'm sure they won't mind that.
And it's fun. No, what I'll say it.
You say it. So I don't want to get anyone in trouble.
No, at the Brute event, I turn to someone and people are dancing and people are kissing and people are talking and people are having sex in corners, and people are running around with beautiful bodies and hello, what a day to live in again.
Right.
After a decade and a half, 2 decades ago, you wouldn't go to anything like that without being fear-based or freaking out or, not knowing what you could catch, or the community was gone, and now it's back, and it is a little wiser, and not everyone is, but we are a little wiser, and we should be really grateful we could do that again.
And it is coming out of, like I said before, in the gyms and so forth. Like for a while there, it was like saunas and in the gyms, and because I think in particular in this city, after post to Giuliani, it was like there was like nothing, and you really couldn't find the sexuality sort of like,
and a lot of it now is hidden on our apps,
and now it's on the apps,
and people like you spend a Saturday night at home,
Tinder for you
sit at home with Scruff for 4 hours and go to sleep. Is that a social life? I don't think so. And it's like judging photographs, that's all it is.
But it's very vapid.
It's very vapid.
It's
You're absolutely
nice,
right.
even if you're a boy or whatever, it's nice to know that a sexuality is coming back into the scene that maybe not like before, or maybe hopefully we are a little more wiser, and things like PrEP, and hopefully we're all using our other head at times,
and hopefully we can really talk to each other, because I think this is preventing us from actually having a conversation.
Communication, I think we all need that.
Yes.
So that's what the young kids are not talking to each other. Sometimes I meet people right now I choose to use my Scruff like Facebook. So if I go out to a bar and I see someone, and my pickup line, if I have one, is, "Hey, haven't I talked to you on Scruff? Hey, I'm Lincoln. How are you?" And they go, "Oh yeah, I have talked to you." And then we walk away, and then the next day "Hey, it was nice to meet you at the Eagle. Do you want to go to dinner or something?" Sure.
I mean, that's a smart way.
And it's it's
a networking.
And if you look at my profile, it talks about me as a human being. I'm not the kind of person to be like, come dump in a hotel. I don't need to know your name. I'm blindfolded. My door is open. It's not like, it's all going to be okay, honey. It's all going to be okay. But some people do like that.
Yes.
But I don't. You know what I mean? The other thing I get a lot on Scruff is, "Hey, I wanted to talk to you at the Eagle, but I didn't want to bother you while you're working." Because they think I work there.
This gives me hope for the apps, because
they think he works there.
I always say,
I'm sure.
No, they all do.
But it's okay.
I feel like I always say I do horrible on the apps, but actually, if I
have
it
to,
more like the way, like a Facebook
way.
kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Because I also think the apps are like, I'm not usually ready when it's a timing thing too. So when I go out, I look the way I want to look for that occasion. So when they're ready on the apps, I'm like, in my bathrobe or naked, and not ready.
I would love.
I think it's a timing thing.
If you do an app show, I would love to come back for that, because I think that there is a huge.
And I've never even thought of it in that light.
There's a tutorial to open up a conversation about how to and how not to, because I'm not going to get on eHarmony to find my person, because
eHarmony.
That would be for your community, but it's actually religious,
like really dating,
but it's also religious.
Yeah, but
based.
Is eHarmony?
Yeah.
You've never seen the commercials on TV?
You guys, it's religious based. Okay. So I don't think any of us would be on that one. Oh wow! Not that we're not spiritual people, but it's religious based. So
now,
but Match.com, for example.
Match.com, better example.
Probably
Thank
better.
you.
But yes, Alex.
Do you take a picture so Grindr, right?
Yes.
I don't know too much about it. Heard a lot. Do you, when you going out, right? When you going, for example, to the Eagle, do you take a picture first of how you looking at that moment, and then
that's a big problem for me, because Jeremy is always telling me like.
So when they see you grinding,
my other job is fashion, and I have so much leather here, and I never. I need to probably
like catch looks and stuff. But
I
what
need to
Grindr,
do that.
the setup of it is literally.
We're still getting off subject.
But it's so vapid. It's just a profile. You have one picture. A lot of people post pictures that may be old or not what they look like.
So look like me.
And then
they look like me. I don't change it before I go. I show up at the Eagle. That's what I look like.
It's funny because
show me on the street.
Our current episode that's out right now is.
But I can definitely recognize it because of the mustache.
I look like a person. If it's a picture of your.
You just showed
of your
Alex, your profile pic on one of the apps.
It looks like me.
It looks like a gladiator.
It does look like you.
Army
It looks like me, and I put on the hat because my hair is growing out.
Exactly.
It looks like me.
Cool. Well, I think we've kind of exhausted this. It's almost like an hour, but
really?
I wanted to bring it back to, I mean, all of this really does relate because, and I think the reason I chose the topic was because, like I said before, it's all an evolution process, and fitness has always been such a huge part for me, and I was even a trainer at one point, and it's all for confidence and fitness really, took me through my sexual evolution, if you will. Yeah. And so, and I think we're always evolving. I mean, I know you're getting into fitness now, and
oh yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, I think the biggest thing that should be said is that everyone should own their age as old as they are. Everyone should get as fit as they can with the body that they have and the limitations that they have, whether they're mental limitations, physical limitations. Some people are not going to have his arms ever.
But I mean, just
people
becoming the best you would be good
Become
advice.
the best you that you can be. And I do think that again, full circle to the conversation, there are so many images being sent to us every day through this little black screen or Black Mirror that
I love that show.
I hate that show.
You hate it?
I do, because it's too close to reality. It scares the crap out of me.
Not the one they did about the
the
iPhone. I only watched 3 and I was like, I'm going to have a stroke.
You need to watch the one about they rate you like...
I feel this election was a Black Mirror episode. Like,
yes.
Are we going to get out of it at some point?
We're out of election, we're in it.
Have you seen the episode, the teddy bear on Black Mirror?
No.
So there's an episode.
Did you? Yeah,
there's an episode of a teddy bear, or like a 3D screen, kind of like teddy bear who's like making fun of people and everything, and it gets so serious that he turns out to run for presidency, and he wins. But if this is just a very short synopsis about it, if you watch the episode, look, I don't take sides on this.
Don't give it away. Don't give it away.
Don't give it away. Don't give it away. Yeah. We'll watch it.
We'll watch it.
And then the other one, and there's another one about like kind of the apps where people rate you. And it's the first episode I think ever.
The second season.
No. Okay, the second. You're right. The second season, and I forget the actress. She's amazing in it, and she goes around and everyone can rate each other.
But see, that's
so.
The
Like
thing
for example, it's this whole thing. Like if you worked at Starbucks and I came up to you. After I rate you, and so you're always trying to get a higher rating, because if you get a higher rating, then you...
It's like your credit score.
Yeah, so your credit score, right? And everyone kind of knows.
Like high-class people is 5 stars.
But see, this is the world we're creating.
Well, it's
every single day we're creating.
Look at the world we are creating. So I highly recommend that episode.
And vapid on the max.
Yeah.
On the max. And that's why...
that creates the facade, because you have to fake that personality.
Right.
Yeah. Well, in the show, but it happens with
never
social
really
media
be
now.
that.
Yeah, you can't really be yourself. You can't really curse, because if people don't like that, negative, like 0 points. So it creates that.
It's mind warping.
It's crazy. After that episode, I didn't want to be on Instagram after that. I was like, oh man,
hurts my
crazy shit.
Well, I want to thank both of you, my guests today. You guys have been awesome. Steven,
I was just listening.
No, you were great. Steven, I want to definitely have you back. There's a lot to talk about on apps and prep, and we are going to dig into that. One thing I wanted to mention about you are in a current book that's in Europe right now, or it's a magazine. It's called Wings.
Yeah, a magazine called Wings. And they did a little piece about me, Tom of Finland Baker. And they also did an article on the same 2-page spread about the Eagle in New York.
That's awesome.
So it's a little snapshot of New York right
Wings,
now.
right?
Wings.
Yeah. We can visit the Protein Bakery in New York City on 19th Street in Chelsea.
Or online at proteinbakery.com.
Thank you. And to follow you, we should follow you at...
Mad Lincoln at Instagram. That's a fun one. Or madlincoln.com is my website that kind of does my little alter ego.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Alex, we love you. How can we can follow you at Unleash Fit?
You can follow me on Unleash Fit. You can like my page on Unleash Fit. I am developing new programs for this coming summer for young kids. So if you guys have kids at some point, I think it will be fun. It helps them increase confidence and kind of stay away from social media as much as possible, so they can actually interact with people.
And you really are the best trainer. I mean, I was a trainer at one point. I was an athlete. I've had other trainers, but I stick with you because you really are, you inspire me every day, and I couldn't think of training with anybody else. So thank you so much.
To touch a little bit on what he was saying of being the best person of yourself. I think a lot of people lack on that, and I tell them to let them know that how amazing your body is. No matter what it is, no matter if you don't have big arms, big shoulders, it does not matter. At the end of the day, you have to learn how to love yourself, no matter straight, gay, I don't care what you are. Love yourself first before you even see the outside world. And always be the hardest person in that room. And you're gonna learn how to be an LWD, which I call that lead without title. Okay, so just,
I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
It's from a book. It's from a book. Yes.
We can list that. Give me all your links, and I will put them on the site. Jeremy, as always, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much. We can follow you at J. Ross Lopez, correct?
Yes.
And please follow our show. It's at Talk About Gay Sex on Tumblr.
Facebook,
our new website,
our
which we have talkaboutgaysex.com, Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. So thank you so much.
Thank you for doing it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
We will see you next time.
See you later.
More pizza, more wine.
I know I'm coming back.